Hi everybody, it's me Jill and welcome to Jill Informed. This is the recap of The Real Housewives of New Jersey, Season 11, Episode 15, The Reunion Part 2. Okay, so I guess this is it. There's only 2 parts to the reunion. I'm a little surprised. I thought this was a good season. I don't know. I know a lot of people didn't, but I had a lot of fun with it. I think there was a lot going on. I thought the reunion was going to have 3 parts, but I guess not. So this is it, guys. We waste no time. We seamlessly pick up where we left off at the end of part 1, so I won't waste any more time either. As you may recall, Jennifer has just dropped the bomb that Margaret is in fact responsible for the rumor about Evan, doing stuff like at the gym. Did you hear about it? I don't know where I heard it, but somebody told me. I can't remember. He was doing stuff. All right, guys, thanks for indulging me one last time. I'm gonna miss it. Anyway, Jennifer says that, and Margaret said, if Teresa tries to say I started a rumor, it's gonna go very badly. So now Jennifer said, I'm not the only one you're gonna fight with today, sweetheart. Yeah, still has that look on her face. Jackie says to Jennifer, you say very irresponsible things just to keep the story going, but you better be careful because there are rumors about you out there too. And Karma's a bitch. Anyway, Andy pushes things along and he's like, can we talk about that later? Moving on. The first viewer question, well, it's really a viewer comment, said, I love drunk Jen. I think you mean tequila Jen. But anyway, it says, I love drunk Jen, and Margaret just needs to lighten up. So Dolores breaks it down for us. The question wasn't about her, but I am loving Dolores, you guys. Both parts of this reunion, I was like, yes, Dolores. Dolores said, Margaret looks back at what it was like when she was a kid. She didn't like seeing her mother like that. Jennifer, yeah, but my kids don't see me like that. Andy, did they see you on TV? Yeah. Okay, then they saw you like that. She goes, they thought it was funny. They said, Mommy, the funny thing is that people think that you're like that all the time. Nobody said that. That did not happen. What child sees their parent faceplant the concrete at a pool party and thinks that the funny part is that everybody thinks she's drunk on the regular? That's absurd. Margaret says that's not true. She was genuinely concerned about Jennifer. And Melissa said, listen, we all like to get drunk and have a good time. But you got sloppy, and that's on you, Teresa, because, Teresa made a pact with the devil. A vampire's wife. She says, she didn't mean to get like that. It happens. I mean, listen, it's not the first time Jennifer drank alcohol. I think she probably at this point knows where her limits are, and she goes beyond her limits. I think intentionally. Anyway, Jennifer doesn't like being called a sloppy drunk. Her definition of a sloppy drunk is someone who goes home with a stranger at the end of the night. I don't do that. Margaret, why does it have to pertain to men? What about slurring your words or falling down on the cement? Okay, what about eating a sausage and then having the chewed up chunk of it coming out of your mouth and just sort of hanging there? Maybe that would qualify as sloppy drunk. Teresa, Margaret, she didn't mean to do it. It happens. Yeah, we heard you the first time, Teresa. Dolores, thank you, voice of reason. It was a fucking sloppy moment. You can't deny that. Teresa, I'm happy you got like that. It was fun. What are you, 16? Margaret goes, why was it fun to watch your friend falling down? Teresa, I wish you would have a drink and loosen up. And Margaret's like, I'm loose as it is. I can stay all night with the girls. I love having fun. Teresa goes, we had fun. We were in the pool. Oh, okay. So the added element of an accidental drowning is what made it fun. Now Jennifer says that Bill likes it when she drinks. Did his Ferrari like it when you threw up all over it? The next viewer question is for Jennifer. It's about sexual harassment in the workplace and why did she judge Margaret for that and call her sloppy? Jennifer, the first time she told us about it, she said her boss was a good-looking guy. I thought she just had buyer's remorse. Dolores, no, that's not how I saw it, Jennifer. Okay, Dolores really did not get the memo because she is clearly not part of the pact between Teresa and Jennifer. So, Dolores breaks in and says, that's not how I saw Jennifer. And she goes, he asked me a question. Dolores goes, okay, but we all felt bad for her that night. Well, apparently not all of you, because I don't think Jennifer did. Anyway, Jennifer goes, I'm giving my opinion now. I spoke about it with Teresa, and she also didn't think it was sexual harassment. At the time. So Andy turns to Jackie now and he said, Jackie, you've worked as an attorney for several years. Have you ever experienced sexual harassment in the workplace? And Jackie said, I did. I would have bosses that would stand behind me and massage my shoulders. Teresa, you let them? Jackie, yeah, I didn't want to get fired. Teresa, oh my God. Okay, I'm just taking a deep breath. Andy asks Teresa if she has ever experienced sexual harassment. Teresa, no, nobody will put their hands on me unless I wanted them to. I am so livid right now. Andy goes, it's not a sign of weakness, Teresa, I'm just saying I would never let anybody touch me unless I wanted them to. I know Teresa has done some really bad things, but her disgusted tone and saying, and you let him? As if she had the power, which is a joke, but more importantly, as if Jackie had the responsibility to stop or allow an unwanted touch at the office. Deep breath. I mean, honestly, Teresa, do men bear any responsibility in your world? Margaret calls it victim shaming. Andy agrees. And Jackie says, when you have a job that you worked very hard to get, you don't want to be fired. Margaret says, so all these women that came forward, you're saying they allowed it to happen. Teresa, I mean, I don't know if I think she knows she might have said something wrong, but I don't think she understands the magnitude of how heinous it is, what she said. She just keeps saying, I'm just talking about me. There are women who are intimidated by their bosses. I'm just saying with me, it wouldn't happen. Oh, yeah, because oh, God. Of course not. You are such a strong feminist, Teresa. You would never let that happen to you. No, you just let your own husband call you a see you next Tuesday and, my bitch wife slip her upside the head, I'll throw her up against a wall, and if she doesn't shut up. Interesting that you allow that. But you would stand up to your boss at the law office who is massaging your shoulders. That was a disgusting thing to say. Margaret says, that's why women don't come forward. Anyway, now Jennifer said, it was never about your sexual harassment. You talk about sleeping with every Tom, Dick, and Harry. She slept with her boss before she got to this boss. You were easy peasy. We get it. Melissa, I think, is like, why are you slut-shaming her? Dolores, who cares how many people she slept with? Guys, I think Dolores wants a seat on the other side of the room. Maybe Kathy could sit in Dolores' old chair. I'm not sure what her politics are, but I know she wants to be on camera. Jennifer's like, I'm not slut-shaming. You're the one that sleeps with married people, she says to Margaret. Andy shuts this down, and he wants to know if there's a path forward for Margaret and Jennifer. Margaret goes, I don't know. Jennifer, I don't like feeling like I have to defend myself. Then Margaret said, last night I left her and Teresa in their rooms. I left them a copy of my book and a bottle of champagne. I didn't hear from either one of them. Jennifer, I didn't know it was from you. Margaret, it's my book. Who would it be from? The fucking fairy godmother? Jennifer, I thought it was from hospitality. I got macaroons too. Now, okay, in Jennifer's defense, if there was no card or anything, I might think that everybody got a copy of Margaret's book too. I don't know. Oh, never mind. Margaret said there's a card in there. and nobody acknowledged it. Teresa, well, I was mad at you. You called me the exorcist. Okay. Margaret's like, oh, come on, is that so bad? Teresa, well, and there's other stuff too. Something about my hair extensions. Can you help me out? I forget. Jennifer goes, cobwebs and hair extensions. I mean, she was just implying that you're stupid. Then Margaret says, no, she plays stupid. And if she plays stupid, we're going to comment on it. She's as stupid as a fox. By the way, that's an analogy, and you know what it means. Yeah, I don't think Teresa is as stupid as a fox. I think she's just stupid. I will say this. I can tell when Teresa is playing the dingbat role. Like, she plays it up and it gets a laugh, and I think she likes that attention. However, she's not smart enough that she can work it into conversation. Like, all right, for example, when they were at Lake George and she said, I'm going to blow a casket. She's not smart enough to know what a gasket is and to know the phrase and to be smart enough to say casket instead of gasket to get a laugh. I don't believe for a second that she planned that whole thing, that she thought, I'm going to say blow a casket because that'll be funnier. No, she just didn't know that word. And she didn't understand the phrase then, because what would that mean to blow a casket? So anyway, I think Margaret's giving her a little too much credit. Either that or that's Margaret's smart way of getting out of calling her stupid, because basically she did. Anyway, Teresa's response to that is, ding, ding. There you go. You're probably getting back at me for the hair pull, which I get. And Margaret goes, no, I'm not a retaliator. I don't carry things from season to season. So they're like still going back and forth. And Jennifer goes, I read her book last night. And Dolores said, hey, did you hear that, Margaret? She said she read your book last night. Jennifer, but I fell asleep. Okay. We move on to Dolores' segment. Andy asks her about her Halloween costume, and I am so glad he did, because do you guys remember? Bill didn't know what Dolores was, and he said, is she Mother Teresa? And Frank said, no, she's an accident victim. And then we could see her, and there were all these like lines and stitches. It was just weird, and I said she looks like a plastic surgery victim. Frank had it wrong. Dolores said, I was botched plastic surgery. And Andy goes, okay, that's what I thought. So knowing that, I like her costume a lot better, because that's what it looked like. And that was funny because, you know, it was a little dig at David too, probably, for getting on her for having so much plastic surgery. And speaking of which, Andy asks her about the vagina surgery and if David knew about it or what does he think about it. And she said, I lied. I told him I was getting a thigh lift. Okay, that's what Bravo said in her final little blurb at the end on the season finale. They said she got a thigh lift. I was very intrigued by that. Like, I was excited to see how that would look. But no, she just had a vaginal rejuvenation or whatever. And I'm a little less excited to see how that looks. I'm not sure why she would lie and say she got a different surgery, because isn't it just surgery in general that he doesn't like that she keeps doing? Anyway, Melissa said, has he seen it yet? Dolores, he won't look at it. Teresa, maybe when he puts it in, he'll like it. We get to Dolores building a house with David, but not moving in. She says she's still with David. She still doesn't live with him, and she's in the middle of renovating her own house. Andy, are you renovating your house to kind of stick it to David that you're never going to move in with him? And Dolores said, a little. She says, I feel like he loves me, but he doesn't know how to be in a relationship. He works 18-hour days. They see each other about once a week, she said. He's got 4 kids of his own, and he's been divorced for 14 years, I think. And he said one of the things that Jennifer and Jackie agreed on was that they think that Dolores wanted a ring. And Jennifer said, I just wanted her to have what she wanted, and that's what I thought she wanted. But that changed. Jackie said, you know what? She wants Frank in her life side by side, and not many men would be okay with that. So maybe if he gives her Frank, she's okay without the ring. I mean, I don't know that I would give up a ring for my ex-husband, but yeah, I mean, there's something, Frank and Dolores. There's some kind of soulmates or something, I think. I really do. I don't think that they want to be married again, but they really, really like each other. They live together. They work together. I think they figured out a perfect way to have each other in their lives and not get upset. I have a feeling the only thing Dolores thought was wrong with Frank was that he was cheating. And now she doesn't have to worry about that piece of the puzzle. So now he can be sort of perfect to her. Andy asked her if it bothered her that all the viewers want her and Frank to get back together. And she goes, no, they see Frank and I as, good for each other. And Teresa goes, I'm so over that. That's never going to happen. Okay. Andy asked her if she thought the Porsche was a bait and switch for the ring. And she said, no, David doesn't feel like he has to get married. Then Andy says the rudest question maybe that he's ever asked someone. Do you think that David doesn't want to get married to anyone or just doesn't want to get married to you? She took a pause, but she goes, anyone. Of course. If he wanted to get married to somebody else, he wouldn't be dating Dolores. Then Andy said, we had the kids on Watch What Happens Live for like a special with the children of the Housewives. And Frankie was on, and Frankie said something very interesting. So we see the clip, and basically Andy asked Frankie if he thought that his mom and David would get married, and he said yes. Because, living with David when I did, we'd have talks late at night and stuff, and I heard things, and Andy goes, is that news to you? And she goes, yeah. Do you mean to tell me that Dolores didn't watch when her son was on Watch What Happens Live? That's hard to believe. And then Andy asked her, if David asked you to marry him tomorrow, would you say yes? And she said, yes, but I wouldn't just jump in. I'd say, well, okay, David, we'll get married, but first let's live a little bit. I want 1 weekend a month from you. And we could go away together, do stuff. So she'd, she would make some demands, but I guess now she feels like she can't because, he's not her husband. He doesn't seem to want to be her husband. So she's sort of living her life and he's living his, I think her doing the surgery and not telling him is definitely her sort of asserting her like control of her own life in a way, We move on to Teresa's lips. Andy said, are they bigger than the last time? Maybe. I like them though. And Louis likes to suck on them. I'm going to throw up. Where's Bill's car? Andy thinks it's incredible that the first guy that she's like seriously dated since her divorce is like the one that she falls in love with. She said that they do say I love you to each other. Side note, guys, I saw, this was like an Instagram story or Reels or something like that. And I think it was Teresa's birthday because there was like a cake there and stuff. And Louis and I think Melania was there. And this was in that house that they bought together and I guess live in. I don't know. She says it was an investment. But anyway, they were in that house. And she's filming it and she's like, oh my God, thank you. I love you. I love you. And he didn't like answer. Maybe he didn't hear. And oh, this is so nice. I love you. Thank you. Oh, I love you. Thank you. I love you. She was like saying it so many times. And I think there was like a barely under his breath. There was kind of a love you too. But it was so desperate sounding. It kind of made my stomach hurt. Like, don't try so hard, Teresa. She must have professed her love to him 8 times. Anyway, now she tells Andy that, yeah, we say I love you to each other. Some more than others. She said that Louis has 2 sons, 17 and 19, that his 19-year-old has autism, that she has met his ex-wife, and she's lovely. Then there was a viewer question from someone saying, I love seeing you and Joe happy. But has Joe ever come clean about cheating in the past? No, he didn't. And like, I'm the type of person that if he sticks his pee-pee in somebody else, he's never going to stick it in me again. Okay, that was for the benefit of all the 7-year-olds watching. Jennifer goes, Margaret said that he did cheat on you and that you caught him. Oh, God, she's not done with Margaret yet, you guys. Teresa said, no, I never caught him. Margaret throws her hands up. I never said that. I said she came to the conclusion that he cheated on her. Then we see a flashback to when her brother, Joe, said, so do you believe he cheated on you now? And she said, well, yeah, now I do. So when pressed for an answer now, she says, I don't know. Andy asks her, is Louis the only guy you've had sex with outside of Joe Giudice in the last 20 years? Jennifer, oh my God, that's personal. Yeah, okay. Let's just air Margaret's dirty laundry about everyone she slept with, but God forbid we should ask Teresa. That's personal. She just can't defend Teresa enough. Anyway, Teresa gets this huge smile on her face and takes a real long time and then said, yeah. And Andy said, you were faithful to Joe the whole time he was away? Long pause. Yeah. Then he said, Joe and Louis met recently in the Bahamas. Yeah. And Joe's moving there? And she said, well, part-time. He's going to live in the Bahamas and Italy. So I guess the story is the girls went to the Bahamas to spend some time with Joe. And then Teresa had to go there to get Adriana and take her back home because dance was starting up again or something. She couldn't miss it. So she and Louis went to the Bahamas to pick up Adriana, and Louis, I guess, called Joe and asked if they could have dinner together. And he said yes. Andy said, oh, that must have been weird. And she goes, no, it wasn't weird. I mean, like my daughters said, Mom, make sure there isn't like too much TMI. She means PDA. There's that sly fox again, pretending she doesn't know the right thing to say. I meant PDA. Yeah, she's a comedic genius. Anyway, the point is that her and Louis can hardly keep their hands and mouths off each other, that the girls were like, could you just like tone it down in front of Dad? And I guess Joe Giudice posted a picture of that dinner on his Instagram. And he said, you can all imagine how I felt. It was awkward seeing my ex with someone else. I'm sorry. Are we supposed to feel sorry for Joe Giudice? I think I've seen the flashback too much. Teresa said he did tell Gia that, yeah, I guess seeing his bitch wife and her new boyfriend really broke his heart. And he asked about the girls, and she said that Gia and Melania were having a lot of problems with not seeing Joe still. She said, thankfully, Adriana and Gabriella seem okay, but Gia is starting to see a therapist, and then when Melania gets back, she's also going to start seeing a therapist. And Teresa herself is seeing a therapist. And I was thinking, that's good. I think that could really be helpful for Teresa. However, she said it's just so that it can help her know what the right thing is to say when her daughters are struggling. Actually, that's fine. Whatever Teresa thinks it's for, it will help her too. It will. Even if they concentrate on how she can talk to her daughters, which, by the way, I think is amazing, and I love that Teresa is doing that. She said she feels like she doesn't know how to comfort them or what to say. And the fact that she's seeking help from a professional to know the right way to go about it, I think that's excellent, and she's a good mom for doing that. And I do think that it's going to help her as well. Oh my God. Okay, so Andy asked if Louis had ever seen the show before. Yes, he watched every episode since season 1, episode 1. Okay. And he still wants to be with you? That's a red flag to me, if I'm being honest. Andy said, wow, so, he's seen a lot of your marriage, right? And she goes, yeah, and he just says that I'm gonna treat you like nobody's ever treated you before. So halfway decent. Teresa's like, yes, he saw my past, but everybody has a past. And Andy said, speaking of pasts, an article came out in the New York Post about Louis that describes him as really into sex. Okay, it was really that he was a sex addict. Teresa, yes, I found my match. Oh, honey, they're saying he's a sex addict. No. Andy goes on to read, he demanded sex 4 times a day from his exes. But the irony is, we just showed a clip of you saying you want a guy who wants it 3 times a day. And she's like, yeah, I did. Obviously, you can't believe everything you read, but I found my match. Oh my God. Did you miss the word demanded? This is scary, guys. Andy's like, and I just found out about this one yesterday. Our friend Kim D reared her head, accusing Louis of mistreating past girlfriends, emotional abuse, slashing tires. What's your reaction, Teresa? Next question. I don't talk about sewer rats. Sorry. Remember when you said to Jackie, where there's smoke, there's fire? Andy asks her, has there ever been anything printed about him that kind of scared you off? Yeah, how about all of it? She just says no, that she feels bad because all of this is being said about him because of her. And obviously that's true. I mean, nobody knew who he was. Okay, we bring all the husbands out now, and Andy's making small talk, saying hello to each of them. When he gets to Bill, he said, that's some rock you gave Jennifer. And he said, well, 18 years and taking care of 5 children by herself during the daylight hours. She deserves it. Andy said, do you always treat her so well on anniversaries? Now, here's where Bill... he struggles because he's not great at ad-libbing. If he practices, or if it's something he's learned in the past that is a human behavior, he can answer. But when something catches him off guard, he's very unfamiliar with human customs or behavior. He said, no, we wait until the special numbers. It's not every year that she gets more than just flowers. So I'm thinking maybe special anniversaries in the vampire world are different than the human world. Like 18 is a special anniversary? Like, will she just get flowers on your 25th? Maybe. Maybe 25 years married means nothing to a vampire. But 18, on the other hand, I'm going to get her a 9-carat yellow diamond. Andy moves on to Evan. He asks how he's doing. He said, I know you probably loved this season. And Evan's like, yeah, it was great. I can't wait till next season. He does say the first few weeks were rough. And he's like, people go into business with me because of my reputation. And yeah, I thought this rumor would have an effect on that. Thankfully, it hasn't. What? I'm sorry. What are you saying? Are you trying to say that finance doesn't care about that rumor? I am shook right now. Finance came to Gina Marie from the afterlife to complain about the rumor. So how can you say it didn't matter? As if finance doesn't care that it got dragged through the mud this season. So anyway, after Evan's like, it didn't affect his work, and he goes, but the main thing is my kids. It used to be they would Google me and doesn't get blowjobs would come up. Now it's cheating on his wife. I mean, I didn't think it could get any worse, but it got worse. Everybody's laughing. Oh, Evan, you know how to give a vampire a good, hearty laugh. But that does actually bring up a good point. I can't imagine that finance was happy with Evan Goldschneider being synonymous with doesn't get a blowjob. I mean, not that that's worse than cheating, but neither are great, I guess, is my point. Next, we get this long husbands montage, and oh my God, would you just announce the spinoff already? It feels so obvious to me. I don't know what it would be like. It couldn't really be like direct competition for the Housewives because there isn't that much drama, but maybe a half-hour sitcom type thing. The guys just goofing on each other, playing golf, kissing each other's asses. I don't know. They just love each other so much. They crack each other up. Every one of them. I mean, Evan fits into this group, believe it or not. Actually, Evan fits in with the guys better than Jackie fits in with the ladies, don't you think? We move on to a viewer question asking Frank what he thought of Joe Gorga saying that he destroyed Dolores when he cheated on her. And Frank's like, Joe speaks his mind. He's known Dolores his whole life, and yeah. And Joe Gorga said, I was devastated when those two broke up, Dolores. We were a power couple. Evan gets asked about Argentina, and he makes the same joke about having a family there. But no, he really did. He went there for business, and he stayed because he met a girl there. Bill is asked about Tequila Jen, and he said, I've had my bad nights too. And Jennifer really hasn't had that many. Just don't puke in my car. A question for Joe Benigno about Margaret. I love you two together, but be honest, don't you find Margaret a little overbearing? Joe says she's really not. Occasionally she gets really mad, but we've been married for a long time. You just wait a couple minutes and we're back to being madly in love with each other. Andy asks Joe B, did you hear the rumor too about Evan cheating? And I'm thinking, yes, he did. All you have to do is roll footage because it was at that guy's poker night. He said, there's a lot of women in my house and they're loud, and I heard them. So I didn't know how he was getting away with this, but he does give an explanation. What he said was, no, I didn't hear about it from Margaret first. And then he said to Evan, I didn't even hear about it at your birthday party because I was kind of out of it. But the next day after the birthday party, he said, there's a lot of women that work in my house all the time. They talk loud and they just couldn't stop themselves from discussing it all day long. So that's when he heard it, the day after Teresa said it. I mean, either they've had a long time to come up with this plan or it really happened that way, but it makes sense to me. Margaret goes, that's why I was so upset about it. It was like a bad game of telephone. Andy goes, if you had heard it in town, would you have said something? And Joe B said, no. Listen, I love these guys. If they're cheating, that's not my business. Joe Gorga, yes, now we know we can go out with him. Yes, because cheating is so funny. Okay, now we get the long-awaited Jackie and Teresa feud montage. We finally get to talk about it. Teresa is still trying to get us to believe that she did it out of goodness, because if it were happening to her, she would want to know. And then Andy and everybody pointed out, but you didn't tell Jackie. You told everybody else at the party. So now Teresa wants us to believe that, well, yeah, I told her good friends because I didn't want to tell her at the party and ruin the party for her. Wrong answer. You did it for our benefit. As a viewer, I appreciate it, but this was not for Jackie. And equally absurd, Jackie would like us to believe that Teresa only did it because she saw how happy Jackie and Evan were, and she was jealous, and she wanted to destroy their marriage. Wrong. Nobody's that jealous of you, Jackie. Plus, I'm not quite sure of the timeline here, but Teresa was probably already with the red-faced love of her life. Seriously, though, has anyone checked his blood pressure? That guy from the neck up is like a beet. Anyway, my point is that Jackie and Teresa are both delusional. Viewer question. Teresa, you went ballistic when Kim D told everyone your ex was cheating. Why can't you understand why Jackie's upset? Teresa. Well, first of all, I didn't go ballistic. Then we see the flashback. I should pull your hair. And she throws a chair. Andy goes, you threw a chair. Teresa, yeah. Dolores goes, well, that's ballistic. You do understand why she was mad, Teresa, correct? And Teresa goes, yeah, but Jackie could have gone about it a different way. Like what, throw a chair? Anyway, Margaret's like, you went about it crazy. Jackie went about it crazy. Then Andy calls Teresa out by saying, you were pretty gleeful at that party when you were going around seeing if anybody had, heard about Evan. He goes, it's not like you were like, hey, listen, guys, I heard something really bad. You were a little lit up about it. Teresa says she didn't do it to hurt Jackie. Jackie's like, bullshit. You hate me. You wanted to destroy my marriage. Teresa, you threw the first punch. Jackie's like, how? And she goes, with the walks like a duck and talks like a duck. And then you said that thing. You said that thing about Joe in jail. Jackie's like, did that start a rumor? Teresa, why do you always have to bring up the jail thing, though? Jackie goes, I don't always bring it up. You kind of do. Jackie's like, twice I brought it up. Once 3 years ago, and we made up and we had gotten over that. And again, when you were pounding it into me that I'm not confident. Andy goes, guess what? Guess who has a theory about how this all started? Dolores is like, who? Andy, Danielle Staub. Dolores, ugh. Andy goes, you know who she thinks is the source of this rumor? Margaret. Jennifer. Loves it. Dolores, still wanting a seat on the other side of the room. She blames Margaret for everything, for ending her marriage. She said, I said something horrible about Teresa. Ugh. Jennifer says to Margaret, I mean, you were really good friends with her. Does she just make up blatant lies? Dolores, yeah, she fucking does. Andy goes, hold on, Jennifer. Earlier, you thought that Margaret was the source of the rumor, too. Jennifer, well, it's just a theory. Oh, now it's suddenly just a theory? Anyway, she says, it's just a theory, but from what Teresa told me, she said it came out of Tenafly. Dolores, she's not Miss Tenafly. Jennifer, well, she hangs in Tenafly circles, and Teresa did say someone from this group told her. Then we cut to Watch What Happens Live when Teresa was on. She was asked about the rumor, and she said, I'm not going to say where I heard it from because it's someone in our group. Then Jennifer has a very convoluted explanation for how it got out. She said, I think Margaret told her good friend Melissa, and Melissa told her husband Joe Gorga, and Joe told Joe. Why couldn't Margaret have just told her own husband? Oh, she just needed to also throw the Gorgas under the bus. Margaret's like, I'm just going to say this point blank. Jackie and I are good friends. If I heard this rumor, I'm not telling Teresa, first of all. I'm telling Jackie. Teresa looks like she's about to spill it. I don't know, like she wants to say something. She's like kind of looking down and she's like, it was weird. She never does say anything, but I feel like she wanted to. Anyway, Margaret goes on to say, I would want her to be prepared in case this came out on the show. Dolores, agreeing wholeheartedly, yeah, Margaret's the first person to tell you what's up. And Jackie is agreeing. She would have sat me down and said, I know you're not going to like this, but you need to know what's being said. Jennifer, I don't think so. Margaret's like, the next viewer question is for Teresa. All Jackie ever wanted was for you to admit that you had no evidence. Why couldn't you just say that to her? Teresa, I did say I didn't have any evidence. Jackie, no, you didn't. Teresa, I said it like you need to stick up for your husband. Andy's like, that's not saying you have no evidence. Andy goes, you said where there's smoke, there's fire. Teresa, oh, that's just a comment. But do I know it's true? No. Margaret said, I thought you were going to make up at my house. I was shocked. Teresa, Margaret, if somebody's saying something about your child. Margaret goes, what did I also say? You don't use kids in analogies. Teresa, Your friend did. Jackie goes, when Danielle used Margaret's kids as an analogy in Cabo, you said it was okay. Flashback to Cabo, Danielle yelling at Margaret, if you spent some time with your kid, maybe you'd have a relationship with them. Then Melissa goes, kids are off limits, Danielle. And Teresa says, Melissa, she's trying to make a point. So funny when your lives are on film, how your own words can come back to haunt you. So now Teresa just says, but she's talking about drugs. Jackie, it was an analogy. Jennifer, I took it as an absolute statement. Of course you did. It's almost hilarious to me now how much she defends Teresa. Then we see Gia from that Watch What Happens Live when the kids were on. And Andy asked her what she thought of that analogy. And basically she said, I thought it was disgusting. I was pledging to a sorority and she had to have like a meeting at the school because they wanted to see if I was okay. So, I mean, that's bad. So after that, Jackie said, I do feel bad about that. But I saw her in No-No's celebration of life. No. And we hugged, so I thought we were all good. Guys, I'm with Dolores like all night. Now she says, I knew it was an analogy, but I wouldn't have used it about Gia. And she's right. I would have used it about Melania. Kidding. For the record, just a joke. Teresa says that Gia didn't know exactly what was said until she saw it on air. I don't believe that. I think Teresa kind of told her right away exactly what was said. But what I will say is that nobody else knew what was said until it was on the air. Her school didn't know. Her friends at school didn't know. Her sorority sisters didn't know until it aired. And so I think that at the time of No-No's celebration of life, Gia hadn't been getting any backlash yet. After it aired, yeah, she started to get backlash. The school, called her in to the office to see what was going on, probably. That's why I think she hugged Jackie and thought, no, it's just a stupid thing. My mother and her friends. The drama is crazy, I also want to just side note, Evan reaches forward and he just kind of gently touches Jackie's back. And I think it's so sweet because I think he knows she's feeling like crap right now. Because I know she didn't intend for Gia to have to go through any of this. But yeah, I mean, honestly, it was stupid. Just don't talk about the kids. Then we get a tough viewer question for Joe Gorga. You said you'd have your sister's back, right or wrong. Aren't you ever going to check her behavior? So then Andy said, was Teresa wrong in this situation? Longest pause ever. He goes, I had to back her up because she's my sister. Teresa smiles. Andy goes, you can't say if she was wrong because she's your sister? Joe, of course I can. I mean, and then he looks at Evan and kind of shrugs. And Andy goes, so are you saying that? Silence. Then Teresa goes, never go against the family. You could hear a pin drop. And then she goes, no, I'm kidding. Are you though? Because I'm not so sure that Joe isn't going to get in trouble later. Anyway, Andy's frustrated and he's like, it's a yes or no question. Finally, he says yes. Teresa was wrong. Teresa kind of shakes her head. Like, viewer question, Jackie, you're the only person that will stand up to Teresa. Thank God you're on the show. Margaret, Dolores, nobody else likes that question. They don't think that's true. I'm sure they think they stand up to Teresa, but really nobody does it like Jackie does. Anyway, Teresa, no. Teresa doesn't think she does. She doesn't stand up to me. She's like crying all season. So Jackie said, Teresa, there are a lot of things out there about somebody that you love. We see the Kim D allegation again, and Louis has a dark past and the other headlines. You know how this feels now. Would you want someone spreading that around? Teresa doesn't say anything, and Jackie goes, no. It's not okay, Teresa. I didn't spread it. I told you there was a rumor out there. Does she really believe the words that are coming out of her mouth right now? Because neither of those things are true. Yes, you spread it to everybody at the party on national television, and you didn't tell Jackie about it. She heard it from somebody else. Andy finally says, you did spread it. Nobody heard that rumor before on TV. Then Jackie said, if Louis heard all those rumors being said about him and all of us were gossiping about it, would it be your place to be okay with it? Or would you need him to be okay with it? Teresa goes, both. Jackie, yes, and that's what I was doing. I wanted you to apologize to him, and I wanted you to say there was no substance to this rumor. Teresa, I did say there was no substance. Jackie's like, no, this is the first time I'm hearing you say that. And believe it or not, Teresa said, it'll never happen again. Jackie, I think, was a little taken aback by that, and she goes, okay, I appreciate that. Then Teresa said, and Evan, I apologize to you. I would never want to do anything to hurt you or hurt your family. And Evan said, thank you, Teresa. But when you took it to another level with Gia, and finally, Jackie is making, I think, a pointed apology for that. Because when Teresa apologized to her during the season, it bothered me that Jackie didn't say, thank you, and I'm really sorry I used Gia in an analogy. That never really happened because Jackie just felt so, we're the victims here and you need to apologize. So now she does say, and maybe it's because she did just see, like, you know, the aftermath of what happened to Gia about it at school and everything. So she manages all in one sentence to apologize to Gia and throw another dig at Teresa for not understanding that it was an analogy in the first place. But Andy said, do you accept that? And Teresa said, yeah. Jackie said, however, I don't know where we go from here. And to Andy, she's like, I just don't think she likes me. And I'm always going to be in the line of fire. Okay, so right now, you guys, I was wishing that Andy would have said, but Jackie, do you like her? I can't imagine Jackie likes Teresa any more than Teresa likes Jackie, right? But Jackie's just acting like, well, she doesn't like me. Anyway, Joe Gorga said, Teresa, do you like her? And there was a pause. And then this was sort of a non-answer of that question. But she said, you know what I was thinking when I was watching you guys playing golf? That Louis likes to play golf. I'm thinking she maybe just lost her mind. Like, is there a point to the story? Is it gonna come back around? Is she lost? Does she know where she is right now? But she said, so maybe I'll extend another olive branch and maybe we'll all go golfing together. And Evan said, that would be nice. I would like that. So now we say goodbye to the guys, and as they're leaving, they're like kissing their wives and heading back to the green room. And Evan walked over to Teresa and gave her a kiss on the cheek, thanked her like for apologizing, and he said, I'm very happy for you two. Is he a good golfer? And Teresa said, yeah, he is. Evan goes, well, I better practice then. I'm looking forward to it. It was very sweet. Dolores is dying. Dolores is like, oh, he's a good guy. The camera follows the guys back, and they're like, oh, let's have a shot now. All right, yeah, we could do that. They love each other, those bros and the vampire. Maybe that could be the name of the sitcom. 4 bros and a vamp. Wait, how many are there? And it could be all like the crazy things they get into and how they try to train the vampire to become a bro. Oh, it could be heartwarming as well as funny. Anyway, so we're saying goodbye now to all the ladies, and they have drinks in a pineapple in honor of Teresa, except Teresa doesn't have one. Andy's like, everyone grab your pineapples, and they're on the tables next to them, but there isn't one by Teresa. And he's like, oh, you don't have one? And he goes, can we get another pineapple for Teresa? And oh, it's Louis bringing Teresa's pineapple out. and surprising her. So Andy says, so I hear you two say the L word. What is it that you love about Teresa? No, really. We would love to know. Especially when she asks Jackie, and you let him? I'm not going to let that go easily, guys. I know too many women affected by that. That she somehow is implying that Jackie was either weak or too submissive because her boss, and let's face it, probably a partner in the firm, that she's working her way up. It's not easy for women as it is. And she's supposed to have told him off for touching her shoulders. Yeah, Teresa, you can look down on Jackie because you would never let that happen. No. You just let your husband threaten to beat your head up against a wall. Sorry. Anyway, so Louis said, yeah, I like that she's open, she's real, she's genuine, she's authentic. Did somebody just get Louis a thesaurus? Is that what's happening here? Are we just going to name synonyms of real? Anyway, they kiss again because, I can't get enough of that. Can't get enough of that TMI. And Teresa goes, Andy, did you know about this? And he's like, yes, Teresa. That, side note again, sorry. That's the dumb I think she does on purpose because she thinks it's cute. And everybody laughs and, that I believe was her playing up to the audience. I don't believe that she says some of her really stupid things like, I'll blow a casket. I don't think that was fake. So, yes, she might play dumb a little bit, but also she is. Anyway, Andy asks, Louis, where do you see you and Teresa, in a year, Louis? Hopefully a lot closer. Waking up next to each other, hopefully. Andy said, so Louis, can you propose a toast for us? And he's like, okay. And Andy said, all right, give us your best, man. Louis, my best. Toast to an ending of a new one season and hopefully another one with no drama. I mean, maybe he is perfect for her. Dare I say he is as eloquent as Joe Giudice. Yeah, here's to my bitch wife. And another season, hopefully without that raccoon face over there. Anyway, Andy's like, well, we like a little drama. And everybody laughs. Teresa looks at Jackie and says, to a fresh start. Which was good, I thought. All the other ladies are smiling and looking at each other. Even Margaret and Jennifer are both smiling. Maybe they're not looking at each other at the time. But then the camera follows Louis back to the green room. And he's introduced to Evan. And Evan's like, oh, nice to meet you. We're going to go play golf, I hear. I can't wait. Then on the stage, Jackie said to Teresa, he's very handsome, Teresa, which was nice. And the ladies are all happy that all of them have great men. And someone said, you're next, Andy. And he goes, oh, I'm next. And Jackie said, I have a great Jewish guy for you. And that's a wrap on season 11. I do think it was a good season. Honestly, I liked that there were no new housewives. I like this group. I am falling in love with Dolores, you guys. She's actually taken place of Margaret for me. Margaret has fallen a little bit for me. And now Dolores is my voice of reason girl, and I'm here for her. I like this whole dynamic. I love Tequila Jen. Jackie, I do think, is the one person that keeps Teresa in check and isn't afraid to get in a fight with her. I think the others, not that they don't stand up to her. I don't think that Dolores would be afraid to stand up to Teresa, and I don't think Margaret would be either. The fact of the matter is, I think Teresa almost has a certain reverence for Dolores. And she doesn't get mad at Dolores the way she would get mad at somebody else. So I think Dolores can get away with saying a lot more to Teresa than, say, Jackie. I think Teresa finds Jackie to be less than her, weak. And when she comes for her, she gives it right back. But I also think that dynamic needs to be on the show. I know people think that Jackie's boring. And I'll tell you what, she was boring at the beginning when she wasn't filming with anybody and she was cutting the kids' hair and, doing stuff around the house. I thought, oh my God, get her off. But she pulled it out. She pulled it out at the end, and yeah, I mean, I think there's a place for her too. And there's definitely a place for Evan. He's one of the guys now. So we'll see. Also, I'm curious if there's going to be a Louis on the show next year. That will be interesting to see as well. So, yeah. I hope you guys liked this season as much as I did. And I thank you so much for being here with me through it all. And I appreciate you subscribing to my channel. I appreciate all the times that you hit the like button and all the comments that you left throughout the whole season. I kind of feel like I've gotten to know some of you. Like I recognize a lot of the names when you comment and stuff like that. So, you know, we're buds. And you guys are funny and crack me up. And so it's just like, yeah. As always, if you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, please do so. If you liked this particular recap, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment. I do read all your comments. I don't always have time to answer every one of them, but I do read them. And I love you guys, and I will see you next time. Bye.